He doesn't dismiss gifts of the Spirit. He doesn't dismiss human abilities. He just says, without agape, they don't amount to anything. Now, why is that? That's because agape is the lifeline to the life of God. That's life. Agape is divine life. It is divine power. It isn't that you have to choose between agape and the other things. The other things are fine if they are under the control of agape. Now then, here comes agape. Love suffers long and is kind. Now, for many of us folks in our religious circles, that's enough to get us off the train right there. Pull the emergency cord and get off. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. What is envy? Envy is resentment to another person because of blessings that they have. It's resentment. It's based on a sense of deficiency in oneself. Love suffers long and is kind. Love does not envy. That means you are thankful that other people are better than you. Wait a moment. Yeah. That's why Paul says in Philippians 2 that each consider other better than himself. Love does not exalt itself. It is not puffed up. I love that phrase. Puffed up. Not puffed up. Doesn't behave itself unseemly. Now that's the old language, and by the way, I'm a 19th century figure, so I quote the King James. And actually, I think there's some advantages to it as a translation. There are disadvantages as well. What does that mean? Does not behave itself unseemly. You can try various words on it. Love is not a jerk. Doesn't jerk people around. Love doesn't give people a hard time. Try that. Love does some other things. For example, it's not hard to approach. It's not hard to approach, not unapproachable. It doesn't seek its own. Love bears all things. What does that mean? That means Paul's saying, you know, I've seen that there isn't anything that love can't stand. Believes all things, hopes all things, endures all things. He didn't say Paul did that, he said love did that. All right? Love never quits, never fails. Now, what is important to understand, please don't turn that into a piece of legalism and say, well, I want to be loving, so I will be patient. Well, actually, you can be patient and not be loving. So what you're talking about here is a very deep kind of set of the whole person. And that set itself is a power. Let me give you a comparison. Take contempt. Contempt is a structure that enters into people's lives, and then it does things. You can explain why people do the things they do if you understand that they are a person given to be contemptuous. Anger can be taken into your life as a power, and it will organize your life to a certain extent, and the more you give yourself to it, the more it will organize your life. And people will come to realize you are an angry person. And probably you will also be contemptuous, because anger and contempt are very closely related. Love is like that. You take love into your life, and you allow it to penetrate your mind, and you allow it to penetrate your body and your social setting. You subject your will to love. That's the center of it. We said that's the executive center. But as you do this and you live with it, it takes over your whole life. And in the process, lines you up with the commandments of God. And that's why Paul says what he does. And that's why Jesus said what he did, because when he said the great commandments are these, he was including all of the others in it. But now, you don't do those because you're not supposed to, or not do them because you're supposed to, or not do them. You do them because of who you now are. See?